My stepsister and I were choosing our system-assigned targets at the same time. She picked the domineering CEO, while I chose the rough-around-the-edges guy. She fantasized about a cat-and-mouse game with the tycoon, while I was supposedly stuck suffering in a rented apartment with the poor boy. But reality had other plans. Only after she went through pregnancy, miscarriage, cancer, and death did the domineering CEO finally feel remorse at the crematorium. Meanwhile, the poor boy made it big with his startup, and I became a wealthy socialite living a sweet life. Welcome to Panda Storyboard. Put on your headphones, get cozy, and settle in. Let's enjoy this story together. If you like it, don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like. Now, let's begin. Given a second chance, she rushed to pursue the rugged man instead, trying to copy my life. I just smiled, because she didn't know I was the one who truly succeeded in starting the business. My stepsister and I both got the chance to bind with the system at the same time. Without a moment's hesitation, she snatched away the system designed to win over rugged men. "Sienna, it's finally my turn to become a wealthy socialite," she crowed, then turned and dashed out. I knew she was heading to the rental apartment to find Aaron, who was working construction. Yet I remained utterly unmoved, a satisfied smile curling at the corner of my lips as I looked at the remaining, domineering CEO conquest system. In my past life, my stepsister Caroline had done the same as today, snatching the system for herself first. Back then, she'd chosen the system for winning over the domineering CEO, leaving me with the one for wooing the rough-around-the-edges guy. "Sienna, I'm going to marry the crown prince of the capital's elite circle," she'd gloated. "You can just keep slaving away in a rented apartment with your penniless boy." She'd been positively gloating about her imminent marriage into a wealthy family. Little did she know what awaited her after the wedding. Landon, the crown prince of the capital's elite circle, had a childhood sweetheart, an unattainable white moonlight he pined for. She studied abroad, and for 3 long years he was entangled in a one-sided love he could never have. He married Caroline for one reason only: to make his white moonlight jealous. From the moment Caroline married him, her life became a living hell. First, she was reduced to a doormat fawning over him. Then came the pregnancy, followed by a miscarriage, and finally, a cancer diagnosis. After enduring this brutal gauntlet, Caroline was utterly destroyed. It wasn't until she died that Landon finally saw the light. But by then, it was too late to change anything. In my case, after marrying that rough-around-the-edges Varen, life was a bit more frugal. But thanks to his well-known prowess in a certain department, our life together was pure bliss. Later, when Varen's business took off and he became a tycoon, I became a wealthy socialite. The stark contrast completely broke Caroline. During her battle with cancer, she called and asked me to visit her at the hospital, saying she wanted to see me one last time. I went. Her hand, riddled with needle marks, clamped down on my wrist as she glared at me with pure venom. "Sienna, I can't accept this," she hissed. "Why is your system so much better?" I tried to tell her, "Caroline, my happiness was never about some system. I built it myself." But before I could finish, she cut me off. She broke down, covering her face as she wept. "Don't you dare lie to me. I don't believe it. If I could choose again, if I could only choose again." When she looked up again, the despair in her eyes had turned to ferocity. She grabbed me and jumped from the 18th floor. When I opened my eyes, we'd both been sent back to the very day we were to choose our systems. "Haha, Sienna, heaven hasn't forsaken me. Fate is still on my side." She ran off laughing wildly, and there I stood, rooted to the spot. I remembered how in my past life, I'd had to work back-breaking jobs, delivering food and hauling bricks, just to scrape together that meager startup capital. This time, it was being handed to me on a silver platter. I couldn't help but smile. Under the system's influence, the plot unfolded quickly. That day, I came home to find my family discussing a business-marriage alliance with Landon. My stepmother took my hand with feigned concern. "A business marriage is just a transaction," she said. "How can 2 people live together without any affection?" "Speaking from experience, honey, listen to your auntie. I really hope Sienna can find someone who truly loves her to marry. Your mother was my best friend. I promised her I'd look after you. So I'd rather send Caroline than see you suffer." Every word she said was dripping with concern, painting herself as someone who only had my best interests at heart. My father chimed in from the side. "Your aunt only has your best interests at heart. So let Caroline take your place in this arranged marriage." I looked at their hypocritical faces and gave a scornful, twisted smile. Yes, my stepmother was my mother's best friend, yet she'd climbed into my father's bed while my mother was pregnant. My father, you see, wore a mask of devotion for 7 long years, deceiving my mother all the while. The truth only came out when my mother discovered that their daughter was nearly my own age. She drove off to confront them, but died in a car accident on the way. My father inherited my mother's estate, and without missing a beat, brought his mistress home as his new wife. The 3 of them formed a close-knit, loving family. I'm the one who feels like an outsider. Were they really thinking of me? They were just in a hurry to marry Caroline into a wealthy family. I saw it, but I wouldn't say it. I stood perfectly still, not moving a muscle, because I knew Caroline would step in. After all the trouble she'd gone through to choose a new system, why would she make the same mistake again? Just as expected, the door was suddenly flung open. Caroline burst in from outside. I won't marry him. I refuse to be part of this arranged marriage. Let Sienna marry Landon instead. I won't do it. I've told you, I only have feelings for Varen. I want to be with him. Caroline yelled and screamed. After binding with the system, Caroline had once brought Varen home, introducing him as her boyfriend. When it was discovered that he worked as a laborer on a construction site, naturally, my father threw him out. He then flew into a rage at Caroline, demanding she cut ties with Varen, or he would disown her as his daughter. Hearing Caroline say that, her stepmother's face instantly fell, and she hurriedly pulled her aside. You foolish girl. That Aaron is just a penniless boy. You'd be living in poverty with him. Marry Landon, and you'll be a wealthy lady with more money than you could spend in a lifetime. How can you pass up such a good thing? Only after she finished speaking did she realize I was still there, glancing at me guiltily. I let out a dry chuckle. If Caroline hadn't lived through everything in her past life, she might have truly believed it was a stroke of incredible luck. But now, even if her stepmother talked until she was blue in the face, Caroline wouldn't go. As the argument reached its peak, Caroline, in a fit of agitation, pulled out a marriage certificate. It doesn't matter what you say, Aaron and I are already married. The crash echoed through the room. My father stumbled and knocked into an antique vase on the shelf. Ungrateful daughter. He clutched his chest, looking like he was about to have a heart attack, and pointed a trembling finger toward the door. Get out! You are no daughter of mine. Caroline, used to being spoiled, wasn't the least bit afraid, and simply turned and walked away. My stepmother was frantic, pacing in circles, but she finally came over and helped my father sit down. I understood why my dad was so furious. He was afraid Varen was a social climber who'd marry his daughter, drain the family fortune, and take over his assets, because that's exactly what he'd done before he met my mom. He'd been just a laborer on a construction site, and now all of his assets belonged to my mother. These assets one day I would personally take back. My father took a sip of water to compose himself, his face a picture of utter dismay. But he still remembered that the purpose of this meeting was to discuss the marriage alliance with Landon. Since Caroline won't go, then Sienna, you should go instead, he said, issuing the command in an offhand, imperious tone. They didn't even ask for my opinion. I was just a tool to them, a pawn in their game. But this time, I wasn't going to be their obedient puppet. All right, I said with a smile. I'll go. My stepmother looked relieved, while my father seemed satisfied. They had no idea what I was planning. The next day, I went to meet Landon as arranged. He was every bit the cold, domineering CEO the system had described. Tall, handsome, and utterly indifferent. Our conversation was brief and businesslike. He made it clear this was a transaction, nothing more. I need a wife for appearances, he said bluntly. You need your family's company to survive. We both get what we want. I nodded, playing along. When do we sign the papers? Next week, he replied, then dismissed me with a wave of his hand. As I left his office, I couldn't help but smile. Caroline had worked so hard in our past life to win this man's heart, only to be destroyed by him. Now she was chasing after Varen, thinking she'd outsmarted me. Little did she know, I had no intention of playing the system's game at all. Instead of following the system's tasks, I started making my own plans. I had knowledge from my past life. I knew which investments would pay off, which businesses would fail, which connections to cultivate. The system kept issuing tasks in my head, demanding I flatter Landon, please his parents, sacrifice my dignity. I ignored every single one. The system grew furious, threatening to withdraw its support. I laughed. What support? In my past life, following the system had brought me nothing but misery. This time, I was writing my own story. I started small, investing in a friend's startup that I knew would boom. I used my knowledge to make smart financial moves, building my own wealth, quietly and carefully. Meanwhile, I played the role of the obedient fiancé, attending events with Landon, smiling for the cameras. His parents were kind to me, genuinely welcoming. They saw I wasn't after their money. I had my own ambitions and plans. Landon's mother in particular took a liking to me. "You're different from the other girls he's dated," she told me one day over tea. "You have substance." I smiled politely, knowing full well that Landon wasn't dating me, he was using me. And that was fine, because I was using him too, in my own way. Meanwhile, Caroline's life with Varen was not going as planned. The system had promised her that Varen would become a tycoon, that she'd live a life of luxury. But the system's tasks were brutal. She had to work multiple jobs to support him, endure his rough temper, sacrifice her own dreams. She was exhausted and miserable, but she kept going. I watched from a distance, feeling a strange mix of pity and satisfaction. She'd chosen this path, just as I'd chosen mine. As the wedding date approached, I made my move. I'd been building a network of contacts, investing wisely, and now I had enough capital to start my own business. I approached a brilliant young investor named Patrick, who I knew from my past life would become one of the most successful venture capitalists in the country. "I have a proposal for you," I told him, laying out my business plan. He was impressed. "You have vision," he said. "Let's do it." With Patrick as my partner, my business took off faster than I could have imagined. Within months, I was making more money than I'd ever dreamed of in my past life. I was building an empire, one smart decision at a time. And through it all, I maintained my engagement to Landon. On the surface, everything looked perfect, the ideal power couple. But behind closed doors, we barely spoke. He was still pining for his white moonlight, and I was too busy building my future to care. The wedding came and went, in a blur of white silk and flash photography. Landon's parents were thrilled, the media was ecstatic, and I played my part perfectly. But that night, in the hotel suite, Landon and I had a frank conversation. "I won't interfere with your life," he said, "and I expect the same courtesy." "Agreed," I replied. "This is a business arrangement, nothing more." He looked almost relieved, and so we settled into a comfortable routine. Separated bedrooms, separate lives, united only for public appearances. While I was thriving, Caroline was struggling. Varen's temper was getting worse, and the system's tasks were becoming more demanding. She had to work herself to the bone. And for what? A man who barely appreciated her efforts? A future that seemed increasingly uncertain. She started calling me, asking to meet. I knew what she wanted, to compare our lives, to see if I was suffering as much as she was. I agreed to meet her at a cafe. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, her clothes cheaper than they used to be. "How's married life?" she asked, trying to sound casual. "Fine," I said simply. "How's Varen?" Her smile faltered. He's working hard. His business will take off soon. I just know it." I said nothing, just sipped my coffee. She was lying to herself, and we both knew it. "I heard you started a company," she said, unable to hide the bitterness in her voice. "With that Patrick guy." "I did," I confirmed. "It's going well." She looked like she wanted to say more, but she just nodded and changed the subject. We talked about meaningless things, both of us pretending everything was fine, both of us knowing it wasn't. As I left the cafe, I realized I didn't feel triumphant. I just felt free. Free from the system, free from the need to compete, free to live my own life. Months turned into years. My business continued to grow, and I became known in industry circles as a savvy investor with an uncanny ability to spot winning opportunities. Patrick and I made an excellent team, and our professional relationship evolved into a genuine friendship. Landon and I maintained our arrangement. We attended events together, presented a united front, and behind the scenes lived completely separate lives. His parents adored me, especially his mother, who often invited me over for tea and conversation. "I know my son isn't giving you the love you deserve," she told me one day. "But I'm grateful you're in his life. You've been good for him." I smiled, touched by her kindness. He's been good for me too, in his own way. Caroline's situation, meanwhile, was deteriorating. Varen's business ventures kept failing, and he was growing increasingly abusive. The system kept pushing her to sacrifice more, to work harder, to be more submissive. She was trapped in a cycle of her own making. One day, she showed up at my office, unannounced. She looked terrible. Bruises on her arms, defeat in her eyes. "I need help," she said quietly. For a moment, I considered turning her away. She'd killed me in our past life after all. But looking at her broken form, I couldn't help but feel compassion. "What kind of help?" I asked. "Money," she admitted. "Varen needs, we need." I held up a hand. "Caroline, no amount of money is going to fix your situation. You need to leave him." She shook her head frantically. "I can't. The system says if I just complete a few more tasks, everything will turn around." "The system is lying to you," I said firmly. "It's been lying to you from the beginning. There is no happy ending at the end of these tasks. Just more tasks, more suffering, more control." She stared at me in disbelief. But you're following your system, aren't you? That's why you're successful." I laughed bitterly. "No, Caroline. I stopped following the system the day we were reborn. Everything I built myself. The system is a trap, and you need to break free." She didn't believe me. I could see it in her eyes. She was too invested, too desperate to believe that all her suffering had been for nothing. She left my office angry and confused. I knew she wouldn't listen. Some people have to learn the hard way. A few months later, I heard that Varen had been arrested for fraud. He'd been running scams, stealing from investors, using Caroline's name to gain trust. When the truth came out, Caroline was implicated too. She lost everything: her reputation, her money, her freedom. She reached out to me from jail, begging for help. "Please, Sienna," she wrote. "I know I don't deserve it, but please help me. I was wrong about everything." I visited her once. She looked like a shell of her former self, sitting across from me in that orange jumpsuit. "I should have listened to you," she said quietly, "about the system, about everything." "Why didn't you?" I asked, genuinely curious. "Because I wanted the easy way," she admitted. "I wanted someone else to solve my problems, to make me successful. I didn't want to do the hard work myself." I nodded. That's what the system preys on, our desire for shortcuts, for guaranteed success. But there are no shortcuts in life, Caroline. Only choices and consequences. Around this time, Landon's white moonlight returned from abroad. Her name was Donna, and she was everything he'd ever wanted: beautiful, cultured, sophisticated. When he saw her again, his cold facade cracked. He was in love, truly in love, for the first time in his life. "I want a divorce," he told me one evening. I'd been expecting this. "All right," I said simply. He looked surprised. "You're not going to fight it?" "Why would I?" I asked. "We both knew this was temporary. You found your happiness. I won't stand in your way." He seemed almost relieved, but also a little guilty. "I'm sorry, Sienna. You've been a good wife. Even if this wasn't a real marriage, you've been a good husband too, in your own way," I replied, honestly. "You gave me freedom, space to grow. I'm grateful for that." We divorced amicably, shocking everyone who knew us. The media speculated wildly, but I didn't care. I had my business, my independence, my future. Landon married Donna in a lavish ceremony. They looked happy, genuinely happy. I sent them a wedding gift and my sincere congratulations. But happiness built on unrealistic expectations rarely lasts. Within months, cracks started to show. Donna was used to a certain lifestyle, one that even Landon's wealth couldn't quite sustain. She was demanding, entitled, nothing like the sweet girl he'd idealized. And Landon, for all his success, was still emotionally unavailable, still carrying wounds from his past. I heard through mutual friends that they were fighting constantly, that Donna was unhappy, that Landon was confused. I felt a twinge of sympathy for both of them. They'd gotten what they thought they wanted, only to discover it wasn't what they needed. Meanwhile, my life was flourishing. Patrick and I had expanded our business into new markets, and we were now one of the top investment firms in the country. I'd also become involved in philanthropy, using my wealth to help others, particularly women trying to escape abusive situations, like the one Caroline had been in. One day, Landon's mother invited me to lunch. "I miss you," she said simply. "You were like the daughter I never had. Can we still be friends, even though you and Landon are divorced?" I was touched. "Of course," I said. "I'd like that very much." We became close, meeting regularly for tea and conversation. She confided in me about her disappointment in Donna, her worry for Landon's happiness. I listened, offered what comfort I could, but I knew I couldn't fix their problems. Caroline was eventually released from jail, her sentence reduced for good behavior and cooperation with authorities. She was a changed woman, humbled, broken, but also wiser. She reached out to me, not asking for help this time, but to apologize. "I'm sorry for everything," she said. "For my past life, for this life, for not listening. You tried to warn me, and I didn't listen." I accepted her apology. "What will you do now?" I asked. "I don't know," she admitted. "Start over, I guess. Do things the right way this time. No shortcuts, no systems, no looking for someone else to save me." I smiled. "That's the smartest thing you've ever said." As the years passed, I built a life I was proud of. My business continued to thrive. I traveled the world. I made a difference in people's lives. I dated occasionally, but I was in no rush to remarry. I'd learned that happiness doesn't come from another person. It comes from within, from living authentically, from making your own choices. I ran into Varen once, years later. He was out of jail, working a dead-end job, looking worn and defeated. He saw me and looked away quickly, ashamed. I didn't approach him. There was nothing to say. He'd made his choices, just as we all had. Caroline reached out periodically to update me on her progress. She was working hard, going to therapy, slowly rebuilding her life. She was genuinely happy, she told me, in a way she'd never been before. "I finally understand what you meant," she said, "about building happiness yourself. It's harder this way, but it's real." I was proud of her, in a way. She'd finally learned the lesson that had taken me a lifetime, well, 2 lifetimes, to learn. One evening, at a charity gala, I ran into Landon and Donna. They'd stayed married, though it clearly wasn't easy. They looked tired, strained, but they were still together. We exchanged polite pleasantries, and as I walked away, I felt grateful. Grateful I'd escaped that fate. Grateful I'd chosen my own path. Patrick found me on the balcony, looking out at the city lights. "Penny for your thoughts?" he asked. "Just reflecting," I said, "on how far we've come, how different things could have been." He smiled. "Any regrets?" I thought about it. Really thought about it. I thought about Caroline's suffering, about Landon's cold indifference, about the system's false promises. And I thought about where I was now, successful, independent, free. "No," I said finally. "No regrets at all." He raised his glass. "To no regrets then." I clinked my glass against his. "To no regrets." As I stood there, looking out at the city I'd conquered through my own efforts, I realized something profound. The system had promised Caroline an easy path to success, promised me a difficult one. But both were lies. There is no easy path, and there is no predetermined difficult one. There's only the path you choose for yourself, and the courage to walk it, despite the obstacles, despite the temptations to take shortcuts, despite the voices telling you to rely on someone else. I'd chosen my path. I'd walked it alone, and I'd succeeded beyond my wildest dreams. Not because of a system, not because of a man, not because of fate or luck or destiny, but because I'd believed in myself, worked hard, made smart choices, and refused to let anyone else control my story. That, I realized, was the real victory. Not wealth, not status, not revenge on those who'd wronged me, but freedom. The freedom to live life on my own terms. And that freedom? That was worth everything.